I wish I had about 3 more hours and we could go into this in not such a fast pace that we're going, but are you hanging in there okay?
Yes.
Okay, I want to get to the questions. So if you have your books on page 28, that's where we start giving the answers to the questions. It's in a written format. It's not quite as ideal, and any of them that I skip, I would encourage you, feel free to go back and just read maybe the answers that would help you, support you in your answers to the same questions. But let me just start, and I'll skip through, but hit the ones that I think are high points. Number 1, to whom does the word refer? Why is the name used? I say, John, did you get the answer to why the word is used, or who word is used to refer to? This is going to be my first judgment of whether they really are reading or not. And if they go, I don't know that I got that or not. I say, okay, John, how about this? It says, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. Who would that be? Oh, that's Jesus. Now, it tells me this, they didn't really read. They weren't looking for the answer. That one's a given, easy, first one, right? It's not going to be true of all questions. So that's my point to say, let me ask you now, how much time did you spend? Did you read this every day? Nah, really busy week this week, didn't really get into it. That's when I say, well, let's do this. As I said, you're busy, I'm busy, wasting this time. I said, let's just have lunch and let's not do anything today. And if, when you read book 1, you want to get back together, call him. How about that? And all of a sudden they realize, this is serious. He's serious about this. And if he goes, yeah, and I don't hear from him, I go, it was going to be a waste of time anyway. Because, remember, very important. So, but then, why is word used to refer to Jesus? This is important to hit this first one because you're going to be, in the answer to these questions, laying the gospel out every single week. It's amazing how this lays out. Here's the answer. Imagine, John, that you and I are having lunch. And we are set up by someone else who wants us to meet and get to know each other. And I know what you look like, you know what I look like. I happen to go first. I see you walk in the door. I do like this, you do like that. You come sit down, you do this, I do that. We look at each other, and once in a while we kind of thumbs up, and then we make our order, we eat our food, we go like this, and then we finish our meal, we do this to each other, and that's it. You see our mutual friend, said, hey, did you get to have lunch with Randy? I sure did. Did you get to know him? No, I really didn't. You had lunch with him, but didn't get to know him? Why not? Because not a what? Word. Do you understand, John, that word is the communication between two parties that get them into relationship? And here is God, here is man, and God, to know man, has to have the Word. That's why he's called the Word. He's the means by which we get to know each other. Do you know I've just given the seed of the gospel right there? It's not by works, it's not by performance, it's through him. That's just a seed, but that gets you started on the right path. Number 2 question. I'm going to let you just read number 2. Number 3, why was Christ called the Lamb of God? Called the Lamb of God. John, do you know why he would be called the Lamb of God? No? I said, well, I can help you a lot here. This is an interesting story, some of which you might be a little familiar or not, but let me just tell you the quick story. Do you remember the story about the Egyptians and the Israelites and how they were held in captivity and the 10 plagues? Have you ever heard about that? I don't know that I have. Well, basically, the Israelites were God's people, and the Egyptians were the people holding them in bondage. And there was a man named Moses, and God said to Moses, tell him that either to let him go or he's going to send 10 plagues over them. And so they had various plagues. Well, they would, regardless of how bad it was to Egypt, they wouldn't let him go until the 10th plague. And the 10th plague was that the first male-born of every family would die. And unless there was one stipulation, that was if they would take a lamb and take the blood of a lamb, and they would put it on the lintel or the head post of the door of the home, then the death angel would see that blood and would pass by that home. And obviously the only people that would do that would be the Israelites who trusted in God. And so everybody else lost their firstborn, and that's how they got to escape and leave. That's the whole story. It's found in the book of Exodus in the Old Testament. Here's the interesting thing. Do you know the condition of that little lamb that had to be, that it was a male lamb that was out without blemish? Remember that, a male without blemish. Now, what they had to do is they slit the jugular here of the lamb. They take the blood, put it in a bowl, and then they would have the children, everybody around, and they would wash their hands as they confessed their sin. They'd wash their hands in that blood. And there was a sense, there was an understanding that without the shedding of blood, there's no forgiveness of sin. And so that the idea was that this little lamb took the sin away from them if they confessed their sin. John, do you think their sins really were forgiven by God because they washed their hands in a lamb's blood? No, not really. But it was a picture of one that would come as a lamb, would give himself, a male without blemish. It had to be perfect. And that's when John the Baptist, what you just read, sees Jesus from a distance, says, "Behold, the Lamb of God that takes away the sins of the world." So you understand how Jesus is to be the Lamb. Yeah, gosh, I never knew that. Good. Let's move to number 4 or whatever. Let's look at number 5. What did Jesus mean when he told Nicodemus that he must be born again? This will all be written there, but I love to do this. Say, let me show you this little quick diagram. John, tell me what you might think about this. I'm going to put up 3 boxes, and these are 3 options you have to describe yourself. The first is not a Christian. This one's not. This one is not a Christian. This one is what I'm going to call a Christian, and this is a born-again Christian. All right? Tell me, which of these 3 would you say best would describe you? I either hear non-Christian or Christian. Very rarely at this point am I hearing somebody say born-again Christian. If they are, I say, tell me about it, and if they're Christian, we're in good shape. I would probably found that out when we went through the diagram, right? But Christian, born again. They say, oh, let's say they say, oh, I'm a Christian. I say, okay, here we go. You say you're a Christian, not a non-Christian, not a born again, but a Christian. Let's imagine that you're married, if not, or you are married. Imagine that you want a child and your spouse. If I talk to a man, I say, your spouse thinks that she might be pregnant, so she gets a pregnancy test. And she comes home and you're excited to find out what are you going to have a child or not? You say, well, tell me. She would give you 3 answers. She could say, I'm not pregnant. She could say, I'm pregnant. But what if she said, I am semi-pregnant? I'm kind of pregnant. No, you'd say, honey, you don't understand pregnancy. You already are. I said, do you know that in the Bible, these 2 are synonymous? If a Christian, born again. When you're born again, you're a Christian. Now, John, I want to admit, born again has been so abused by so many crazy, crazy, crazy people in the name of born again, killing doctors, doing all this stuff. Please, don't let that throw you. It's still a good term. It says you must be born again, meaning that God has to work in your heart to give you a birth into his kingdom. And we're going to talk about that. In fact, John, if we get through book 4, and I've not made that real clear, I failed you in a big way. You will know what it means to be born again. That gives me a little bit of terror. Oh, I'm looking forward to kind of finding that out. Take the next question. What did Jesus say was necessary to have eternal life? Not now, but you can read the full answer, but basically, what's required to have eternal life? You must believe. And that's where I used the illustration maybe then about what it means to trust God, the tightrope walk or whatever. If so, then when I get to book 4, I'd say, remember the tightrope walk? That's what we're talking about, is trust or believe. So it means you got to put your trust in. These next questions, what was the significance of Christ's claim to be the Messiah? his claim to be Messiah was claiming to be God. I said, John, you know, a lot of people say, well, you know, Jesus didn't claim to be God. You're going to see this is the first of many questions that will be asked in this book that will draw your attention that he does claim to be God. But the significance of that claim, that he's Messiah, that he's the God that's being sent, the deliverer, the significance is this, that if his claim is to be Messiah, he is God. Next question, how did Jesus describe his relationship with the Father? One and the same. Therefore, he's claiming again to be God. So I'm just real quickly kind of hitting the high points there. I love number 9. You'll never skip it. Can someone be in right relationship with God without being in right relationship with Christ? And I'm saying, John, this is the question of what would Jesus say? And he will say, no, you cannot be in right relationship with God without being in right relationship with Jesus. That's cutting across the grain of probably what he believes. But now he's stated it. Jesus believes differently than me. That's good. I want that to happen. Make sense? All right. Let's move to the next book. Book 2. What does it mean that Jesus says he is the bread of life? The bread of life is basically, he is your sustenance. If you're hungry, you're starving, bread is everything. Bread is what satisfies. I'm going to there probably insert the first third of the little book you have called The Answer. Now, it probably takes 20 pages to get this whole story. I hope you'll read it. But I pull out the majority of that little story in abbreviated form, and it tells them the whole story of the gospel. You'll see when you read. The book is divided into 3 parts: the story of glory, the story of grace, and the story of truth. In the story of glory, it is telling us about what life is really all about. And so I summarize it this way. I say, let me help to answer this question where Jesus said he's the bread of life by telling you a little story. It's called the story of glory. And John, by the way, glory, when I talk about glory, glory can be used of the glory of God. He's a glorious God. We can talk about there's glory that we give to God. Glory be to God in the highest. You hear that at Christmas. But it can also be used a third way in Scripture, and that is the glory from God. That's the way I'm using this term. Glory that God gives to us. But glory means renown, splendor, or satisfaction. And so here's the story of glory. I'll give it to you in 4 chapters. By the way, you're going to find 6 chapters in the book. I give the first 4. You want to read the last 2, but I don't have time to do it. Here's the first 4. I'll just give you the titles, and it'll tell you the whole story of life, John. Here it is. Number 1, designed with glory. According to the Bible, right or wrong, that's something we have to discuss here. We've just discussed. But according to the Bible, we were designed with glory. That means with renown, splendor, satisfaction. But then chapter 2 comes along. Chapter 2 is fall from glory. We read in the Bible, all have sinned and fall short of the what? Glory of God. The glory is stripped away from man. You come to chapter 3. Chapter 3 is search for glory. John, do you know that every one of us come out of the womb looking for something beyond us, to find something we have to be satisfied? And as we grow, the toys get more expensive and the craving becomes all the more, but it's the same thing. We're looking for something to satisfy. It is a search. John, I had a guy came to me one time and he said, I just can't believe it. I'm a millionaire. I've got the finest family. Why am I not satisfied? I just buy thousands and thousands of dollars worth of clothing and I get so hyped and excited, I can't get home and it's gone. Why can nothing satisfy? I said, John, you tell us the story. Bill, you're telling the story of everybody. That's the story. We're on a search for glory. And we go from toy to toy, fix to fix, relationship to relationship. You know what we're really doing? We're going garbage heap to garbage heap. We're looking for something that satisfies, and nothing seems to satisfy. We just have to have more and more. Until you come to chapter 4 of the story of glory, and chapter 4 is this. Chapter 4 is discovery of glory. And there's a verse in Colossians 1:27 that says, and Jesus is the hope of... You see the story of glory? I see, John? Jesus is saying he is glory. You get him, you get satisfaction, renown, and splendor. That's really what his claim is. He is the bread of life. You can look at everything else. They're counterfeit glories. We'd love to go through the last 2 chapters, but I'm watching my time, so let's keep going. 2, you can look on your own. 3, on your own. 4, on your own. What does it mean to be free? I love to just say, listen, make sure you know this. Freedom is not the license to do what you want to do. Freedom is the ability to do what you should do. And that's what we're all searching for. We want freedom. And Jesus said, you'll know the truth, and the truth will set you free. If he's God, you want to take stock in that. Because there's a wealth of life waiting for you if you buy into that. Then I would come to number 7. John, there again, he's claiming to be God. Before he even was born, he already existed. What does Jesus mean, number 8? What does Jesus mean when he said, I am the door for the sheep? And the answer there is, he's the way to God. You can go, there's either one door. You got to come through me to get to God. Let's skip number 9. Let's go to book number 3. What did Jesus mean when he said, I am the resurrection? We already talked about that. The next one, the resurrection as well. Third, I love this one. Number 3, what is the one condition Jesus gives for finding life? And the answer there is you have to follow. So I love to state it this way, and it'll come up another time or two here, but I say, let me ask you, John, what is the one condition? Tell me, what does Jesus say is required to be a follower of his? The answer, you have to follow. You got to get there. You got to follow. Don't buy into the people who say, hey, I'm a follower, I just don't follow. We already went over that. I just want to keep reviewing that. A follower means that you follow. Love number 5. In Jesus' view, is there any other way than believing and following him in order for a person to find God? This is the big question. I say, John, if I am criticized, and other Christians who hold their faith are criticized for any one thing, it's for being intolerant. But John, I want to deal with that. I'll tell you this, you can't make me mad. I mean, it's hard to make me mad. I don't know, it's temper or what, I don't know. But I tell you, if you want to push me to the edge, you call me intolerant. And by the way, I don't mind if people call me stupid. I don't mind if people tell me I'm wrong. That doesn't faze me. But when somebody says I'm intolerant because of my Christian beliefs, now you're going to get me a little edgy. And here's the reason. Because if anything, we are not. It's being intolerant. Let me illustrate, John. Imagine that you and I are having lunch here, and we have a waiter, and the waiters come and met with us and so forth. And I say, excuse me, I need to run to the bathroom. And as I walk to the restroom, I realize there's an open door, and I happen to see our cook and I see the cook, and he's talking to our waiter, and I overhear your name, John. And I stop. They can't see me. I stop. So what? Talk about John. And it says, see that guy out there? And he points to the table where John. I just left. I said, that guy, I hate him. I'm going to kill him. I've been trying to kill him forever. I got him now. And he pulls out a little vial and he shows it to the cook. And he says, see, this is cyanide. I'm going to put it in a batter of cookies. In a few minutes, those cookies will be ready. I want you to take them to the table. When they're through with their meal, just say, somebody here anonymously wanted to gift you some cookies, just an appreciation for whatever, da-da-da. And said they'll leave one bite of that cookie and give it out on the spot. And the guy said, okay, if that's what you want to do. And I go, whoa, and I come back to the table to tell John, and I go, oh, I can't even say this. If I tell John, he'll think I'm crazy. I just met him today. He'll think I'm a loony, you know? And maybe I missed it. Maybe it's not true, so I'm just going to sit here, forget the bathroom. So we finish our meal. About the time it's ready to leave, here comes the same waiter with the cookies, makes the same statement, says, somebody want to give this to you. And you sit there, John, you go, oh, man, thank you. I love cookies. Pass on to whoever how appreciative I am. And about that time, John, you start reaching for the cookie. And I said, John, don't eat the cookie. Don't eat the cookie. And you say, why? John, it'll kill you. Oh, you sugar people. I'll tell you all the way. No, it's not the sugar. It's cyanide. I overheard the conversation, there's cyanide in the cookie and it'll kill you. And you look at me, John, and you go, Randy, I don't know about you. Okay, and you grab the cookie and you start to eat it. John, what should I do? And every time John says, grab my hand. Don't let me eat the cookie. I said, of course that's what I should do. Because I've got information you don't have. Even though you've heard the same information but don't believe it. Because I believe it, even if I'm wrong. It wouldn't be love if I didn't grab, if I think it's going to kill you. So call me wrong, call me stupid, call me whatever, but don't call me intolerant. That's one thing we really are not. So make sure that you can kind of articulate that idea. How does Jesus describe his relationship with the Father? Number 6, he's God. Number 7, what does Jesus promise to those who ask anything that honors him? I have to stop on this one because this one can be a hard one for them. I've had people say, you know, Randy, it's verses like this that I just read and the promises like that about prayer that cause me not to believe in Christianity. What do you mean? Well, my mother, she was diagnosed with cancer when I was 6, and she battled it for a year or two, and things weren't looking good. And the preacher came over one day and said, Johnny, I tell you what, you got to believe. The Bible says, whatsoever you pray believing, you will receive. And therefore, if you can believe your mother's going to be healed, she will be healed. And you know what happened? I believed. That's the weirdest thing. I got to where I was absolutely confident. I didn't even worry about my mother dying. Because I prayed and I believed the Word of God. And then my mother died within months later. And I said, you know, if you can't believe one verse, you can't believe the devil. Well, I said, John, what you need to understand is this, that the various promises about answered prayer are like a collage. John, you know what a collage is? Sure, it's a big picture of many little pictures. I said, if you take one little picture away and hold it up itself, it doesn't make the bigger picture. So what you understand is there are, I think, 16 various conditions to answer prayer in the Bible. And the whole point was never to say, here's the one condition, it's the one of many. And the best way I can illustrate it, imagine that your little boy is at first day of coach pitch baseball. So he's a little lefty, he's up there like this, he's waiting to hit his first pitch ever from the coach. And about that time, he looks back into the crowd to you, and he grins as he turns his head, and he looks like, yeah, look. And the ball comes by, and the umpire goes, strike one. And your little boy looks back and goes, ah. He says, son, keep your eye on the ball, and you'll hit it. The boy says, okay, I got it, Dad. Strike 2. He looks back at Dad and goes, you said if I watch the ball. No, son. I said, what I mean is this. Sure, if you will keep your eye on the ball, assuming other conditions are met, you'll hit the ball. Do you follow that? That's why prayer is not an easy work. Man, I mean, there's a lot of conditions, and you learn those conditions. You begin to put them into practice and apply in prayer. Well, it's not like, here's one answer. No, it's one of many. Does that make sense, John? And he goes, yeah. Okay, just in case that becomes an issue. What is true of those who love Christ? They will follow. That's interesting. Didn't I say, John, that a follower must follow? So that takes us through the questions. Number 9 there, what does Jesus say? The helper is the Holy Spirit, and that's God. Let's go to the next one, the last questions. I'm not going to go over those. I will say that the last question, number 8, which is on page 42, is kind of a fun question I threw in just for an extra. And that, who was the disciple that Jesus loved so much? Do you know who that was? It was John. You can't find that in that text, though. It's only by cross-referencing and putting 2 and 2 together that you get that. And he would never get that. But I just thought, if you got that, you're way ahead of the game, and we laugh. So that would be it. All right. Let's turn our attention to some support tools, all right? We need some support tools, and then I'll quickly follow up. Take a little tiny 4 or 5 minute break just to stretch, and then we're going to do the last 25, 30 minutes to be Q&A. All right? Is that good with everybody? All right. These tools, The tools that I want to share with you now are what I call support tools. And let me hit follow-up first, and then I'll do support tools. Let's do the follow-up tools. Just quickly, and I'll just abbreviate this, but there's what I call the immediate follow-up, and that's when a person comes back after that luncheon and says, you know what, I think I moved from number 2 to number 3, if I had to guess, on the cloud of doubt. Or I moved from 3 to 4. Some people say I moved from 2 to 4. Some people say, I don't think I moved. It's okay. Just what you get, that's good. That's what you want to find out. I always want to ask, where did you land? If they don't come in across that line, I say, well, where do you land about Jesus? Do you think he is or isn't? Does it change your opinion of what percentage chance you would give? Or what has happened? But whatever, if there's been any movement at all in that little diagram of the cloud of doubt, I want to say, tell me, John, what caused you to move from 1 to 2? What caused you to move from 2 to 3? Always the same answer. Meeting with you. I said, what did I do? You answered my questions. I said, you know what? Yeah, what I was doing was personalizing an opportunity for you to kind of explore and investigate, right? Yeah. You know, if you want to move from 2 to 3 or 3 to 4, if you want to keep moving, you know it's the same thing that will do that? And so I will give you a couple little thoughts that you should remember, and they're in your booklet, the immediate follow-up. I'll let you read those on your own. But I said, you know what's really going to help you is if you had somebody like me to keep meeting with you like this, to take you further. I don't know if you're interested to do that, John, but I'm certainly not trying to make it a career. This is not my job to do this, but I love helping people. And there are 4 more little booklets, and they're called Next Step booklets. And they talk with the 4 critical issues that you would need to know next. And by the way, it has the book of Romans in it, but it's Romans 1 through 8, 2 chapters per week with questions in the margin. And I would love for you to go back through these. I'd rather maybe not do it every week, unless he was the only person I was doing it with, but I usually can have 2 or 3 people, and I just can't get too many meetings going at one time. But I'll say this, I say, would you go through the first couple of booklets maybe, and then call me when you're ready, and I'll meet with you, we'll kind of interact on it. By the way, the book of Romans, John, is, in my opinion, the 3rd hardest book in the New Testament. You've got a book of Hebrews, you've got a book of Revelation, but this one's probably the next stiffest, tough one to kind of walk through. And but I'll tell you this, the things you will learn and understand in that book, in the first 8 chapters, will be better than anything else I could give you to read. And the stuff you don't understand, I'll try to be here to help you. But let's read through it, do a little bit every day like we've been doing, or keep it going. And often then, you find a person who actually comes to faith when they thought they'd already come to faith. But they come to faith later. You never know. But I like to be able to keep the process going. And ultimately, I want to build an opportunity to get in my journey group or discipleship group. That's why we try to coach and teach people how to have a small group that really is working with grip, posture, and alignment, the way we talk about. But I get them in my group if possible, or get them in Connecting Life of the Church, try to get them involved. The more I can help them have a consistent exposure to God's Word and God's people, that's the greatest chance I'm going to see that they're going to become healthy, ultimately mature Christians. That makes sense? So just a quick word there on the idea of follow-up. Now let's get to the support tools. All right, first group of support tools are generic tools to use with anyone. One's the story of glory. I just walked through that. It's in your book, The Answer. While I'm thinking the answer here, let me just make a plug for this little book, The Answer. I hope you get this. Every time Lee gets up, I kind of go, oh, because I think it should be said, you need to hear, but it so sounds like so many that they're just trying to hawk their goods. I hope you heard. I'm not making any money. There's no staff making any money off of this. It goes right into Kingdom to get more materials to keep them going. We provide free overseas these materials, and that's where we actually can get $1 or $2 off. We don't charge for it. I want people to buy them for the use of it. What I've done with my guys and many of the people in our church, I say, look, here's the deal. If you find a better tool to give to somebody that works more efficiently, use it. Please use it. I would love it. In fact, I'll throw this one away and we'll use it if we think we find something that we think would be better. But find you a good tool, a literature tool. And why don't you do what I challenge my guys? Buy 10 of them and say, Lord, I'm gonna put in for a 2 week out of 12 failure that I probably missed, but I want to give one away per month. And I bet you out of 10 per year, I'll get 2 or 3 great conversations that could lead maybe one person to salvation. And if a person says, I haven't led anybody to the Lord in the last year, 2 years, 3 years, I'm telling you, it has no bearing. Am I an evangelist? Am I not? Am I really gifted? Am I not? No different than if I don't have the gift of giving, that I can't tithe. I can still tithe. I don't have to have the gift of giving. And so everybody needs to be missional. So here's a great, easy way. Use literature. Maybe you're not one to converse with people like I'm talking. But everybody, whether we are or not, take one of those, buy 10 of them, and then per month, God, please, would you take that little target list? God, let me give one to all those 5. Give me 5 other people. Give me somebody on the flight when I fly this time. Give me somebody this month. I just want to greet somebody and hopefully invite them to read and see what happens. If your fruit goes up, that's a win. If it doesn't, you didn't lose a whole lot. It's not that expensive, right? So that would be my encouragement. You find a tool and be sure to read the answer, and then you can order, later. I know they'll be a little bit more expensive, but you might want to read it before you order 10 of them. But I think you'll find it'll be very, very helpful to do so. Story of glory, and then there's the performance grace diagram. I have so much positive feedback about this. Somewhere during the 4 weeks, I might throw this in. This is kind of a support tool, so it's not part of something we have try to do every time, but I'll say, let me explain Christianity this way, John. Let's put God up here, and everybody, can you see that? I know it's not, can you see that? Do you like red better? Okay. Everybody, if they are a theist, they want God to like them. Who doesn't want God bigger than them to like them? Well, there's 2 different ways that people have tried through history to get God on their team. And this is the way it is. There's 2. The first is called performance. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to use a different lens. I'm running out. This one is called performance. Let's put the word perform here. And so I'm going to draw an arrow from this box to God, because the religion of performance is basically called do. What I do for God or don't do because of God. Now, you need to know this, John, that religion does create righteousness. So I'm going to put dash righteousness, R. But it's a particular type of righteousness. It's a righteousness that comes about based on what we do or don't do. Therefore, it's what we ourselves do, and we call that righteousness what? Self-righteousness. I'll put a little S here for self-righteousness. Now, you and I say, we hate people that are self-righteous. We really don't. Do you know that? We don't mind people being self-righteous. What we don't want are haughty, arrogant, self-righteous people. Right? We don't mind if our kids play with kids that are not Christians but are living good, moral lives. That's self-righteousness. Is righteous coming by self-designed not to do bad things. That's okay with us. But now Jesus, he read through more than we can. He read through hearts, and he was repulsed by self-righteousness. Maybe here's a good way to illustrate it. Think about you're an avid golfer, and you love to play golf. And you head to work one morning, and right before you leave, your wife says, honey, can I ask a favor of you? Big favor. I would love one day of your life. Give it to what I want to do. Would you do that? That's all I ask. And you say yes. And what do you want to do? And she says, I love to wallpaper on a Saturday. I like to wallpaper the bathrooms in the morning, and then at lunch we go out to eat, and then we go to a mall till 10 o'clock at night when they close, and we shop. And you think, man, closest description of human hell I've heard. Because she said, would you just one day, I'm just asking, and you say, I will. You promise, yes, nothing will come away, no. All right, pick a Saturday. And so he says, how about this Saturday? No, you don't have anything. So now he's at work, and he's dreading Saturday, and thinking, oh boy. And Friday now, he's getting real close, it's time to go home. And he's thinking, oh, tomorrow, it's a beautiful day, I could be out playing golf. And phone rings, it's your best buddy. Best buddy says, hey pal, sit down, you're not gonna believe this one. We have hit the big bingo, I mean of all. We have been invited to play Augusta National, the #1 course probably in the U.S., #2 at the worst, and everybody's longing to play. No one gets to play it, but we've been invited to a friend of a friend, and we're getting to go. And you go, oh my goodness, I wouldn't miss for the world. When is it? Tomorrow. All we got to do is get there by 10 o'clock in the morning. And you're just like, oh no. He said, well, what's the problem? You're going, aren't you? He said, oh yeah, I'm going. If it killed me, I'd go. It might be prophetic, but you anyway. So you're going home that afternoon thinking, how am I going to tell this to her? I promised her under no conditions, nothing would come up, more important, blah, blah, blah. And so you think, okay, I've never given her flowers, so you buy the most beautiful bouquet of flowers, you stop, get her some. And then you think, oh, maybe that's not enough. You buy this beautiful necklace on your way home, and you get it. So you walk in, she says, the flowers for, oh, they're for you, honey. For me, you never give me flowers. Why? I don't know, no reason, there's no occasion. I just think about how much I love you, and I thought I need to express it. And so she jumps up and hugs you and says, oh, this is the greatest day of my life. I remember this. Sweet. Those flowers died. That's the very point. I thought I need something else to tell you how permanent my love is. I have this necklace, and then she hugs and kisses you, and she says she's so excited for a few hours, and finally, when you think if not now, never, it's getting late, and you say, honey, you like the flowers, huh? Oh, yes, and the necklace, oh, cherished forever. Great, honey, I'm so excited for you, and by the way, just to let you know, there's something I like too. About that time, the head tilts with a little suspicion, or a time that you can say, golf, Saturday, Augusta. She is livid mad, and she takes those flowers out of the vase. She throws them in the trash. She rips off the necklace. She throws it at you and says, you repulse me. Did she quit liking flowers? No. Did she quit liking necklaces? No. She saw the motive behind the action, and that's what happens. Well, Lord, I'm giving you my money, I'm giving you my service, I'm giving you time, I'm doing a lot of stuff for you, and surely you appreciate this a lot. Oh, by the way, there's something I want too. I really like to go to heaven one day, and I'd like for you to bless me and give me good health, and I'd like for you to... That's all it is, and it's repulsive. There's a second way to relate, and that is through grace. Grace has the line coming this way. It spells Christianity done. It's what Christ has done for us. It too is a righteousness, but it is Christ's righteousness given to us. People say, oh, that's where you walk and I'll pray a prayer and zoom, now you're his. Well, not exactly. There's a word love down here. And what happens is 2 Corinthians 5 says it's Christ's love for us that compels us to obey or to follow. And so I say, John, let me ask you a question. I know we're early on, a couple of weeks into this, but just curious, where would you say your religious pilgrimage begins? I know you're religious, you do, but would you say that you start here and go up to here, or do you start here and go all the way around? Which would it be? And this is what I always hear. Probably a little bit more here to here than here all the way around. And I'd love to go through more on the DVD and the packet. If you got that, you'll hear me kind of talk about this in James and Paul and the different types of righteousness and so forth. But for time, I'm going to push along, okay? Next is tools for nominal believers. Next tool for nominal believers. Vital signs discussion. I like this one. The vital signs discussion would be for you that have family members or very, very close, dear loved ones, that they trust your love already. I would not use this otherwise. The vital sign simply raises a question in that deep relationship. Maybe it's a sister. Susie, I love you. You know how much I love you. And the only reason I ask this question is because I do love you so much. But, you know, I know that we both call ourselves Christians and we believe that, you know, we're Christians. But I've been learning so much about Christianity, and I learned that Christians have vital signs, just like live people have vital signs, breathing and so forth. And, you know, I have to be honest with you, you know, Susie, I don't see vital signs. Are they there? And what I mean, the vital signs are hunger for God's Word. I don't see you all read the Bible. It's being really rooted in prayer. I don't see that. It's people who want to serve God and they want to talk about God. Their faith and relationship. I just don't see that. And I'm not perfect. I'm not a spiritual physician, so I don't know for sure. But are there real vital signs there? And that gets you into it right there. And it can be offensive if you're not deeply in close relationship where you can do that. But that would be the vital signs discussion. Now next would be tools. The belief and conviction discussion. When you do the diagram that I was talking about last night, you'll often get to Jesus up here at the top of the diagram. And when you get to that Jesus issue, you put the three options that, liar, lunatic, or Lord. And there are some that are non-Christians that will say, hey, I'm already there. I already believe Jesus is Lord, so I'm good. Then I want to ask, if I sense that there's not all that evidence, that's so apparent, I'll say, let me ask you, is that more of a belief or a conviction? A belief is something you have maybe because of the culture in which you live and the environment. Maybe if you lived in North Africa, you'd be saying Allah instead of Jesus. But a conviction is something that drives the way you live and think and act and everything. Would you say that your belief in the Lord is a belief? Probably more of a belief. Well, good. Because the same investigation that I'm talking about now is good for someone to go from belief to conviction as it is unbelief to belief. So, that would be the conviction diagram. Tools for New Age or cult. I tell you what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take about a 5-minute break. I'm going to get that and then Q&A. Can we do that? The main reason is I have to go to the bathroom. So, take a break, and we'll do it right now, about 5 minutes early, okay? And then I'll be available for a minute afterwards.